What if I told you that the very fact you're hearing these words right now is no accident? Stay with me on this. Alan Watts once said something that shook the foundations of how we understand time itself. He said that life is not something that happens to you, but something that happens through you. And if you can grasp what that truly means, everything changes. But here's where it gets interesting. Right now, in this exact moment, you might be wondering why certain things haven't happened yet. Why that breakthrough feels delayed. Why the answer you're searching for seems just out of reach. And what Alan Watts discovered might completely shift how you see your entire existence. Because according to Watts, there's something happening beneath the surface of your awareness. Something so profound that when you finally see it, you'll realize you were never actually waiting at all. You were always exactly on time. Now, before you dismiss this as spiritual bypassing or wishful thinking, let me show you what he really meant. Because by the end of this, you're going to look at every delay in your life differently. Every closed door. Every moment you thought you were falling behind. And you're going to see something extraordinary. But first, you need to understand what's called the wisdom of insecurity. And why your desperate need for certainty might be the very thing blocking what you're looking for. Stay with me, because what comes next might just change everything. Alan Watts said something that most people completely misunderstand. He said, "Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone." Think about that for a moment. You're probably thinking, but I need to do something. I need to make it happen. And that's exactly the trap. That's exactly what keeps you stuck. Here's what Watts discovered through decades of studying Eastern philosophy. Life operates on a rhythm that the conscious mind cannot control. He called it the Tao, the way things move when you stop forcing them. And according to Watts, this isn't just poetic language. It's the actual mechanics of how reality unfolds. But here's the part that will blow your mind. Watts observed that what we call coincidence or synchronicity isn't random at all. It's the universe's way of showing you that you're part of a pattern so vast, so intricate, that your small, anxious mind could never orchestrate it. Think back to a moment in your life when something appeared at exactly the right time. A conversation. An insight. An opportunity that seemed to come from nowhere. You probably called it luck. But what if Watts was right? What if it was simply timing? Alan Watts described it like this: you are a function of what the whole universe is doing, in the same way that a wave is a function of what the whole ocean is doing. Let that sink in. You're not separate from life, struggling to catch up. You are life, expressing itself through your unique form. And just as a wave doesn't arrive late to the ocean, you cannot be behind schedule in your own existence. But wait, there's something even more profound here. According to Watts, the reason most people miss these moments of perfect timing is because they're too busy demanding that life conform to their schedule. They're so focused on forcing outcomes that they become blind to what's actually being offered. And this brings us to something crucial. Something what's called the principle of readiness. And if you don't understand this, you'll keep missing the very things you're desperately searching for. Here's what he meant. Alan Watts once told a story that perfectly captures this principle. He said, "When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears." Now, most people hear that and think it's just a nice saying. But Watts was pointing to something far more radical. He was saying that wisdom isn't something you acquire. It's something you recognize. And here's the key distinction. According to Watts, you cannot force yourself to be ready any more than you can force a fruit to ripen. The fruit ripens when the conditions are right, when the sun has shone enough, when the rain has fallen enough, when time has done its work. The same is true for you. But here's where it gets fascinating. Watts discovered that the very act of trying to force readiness actually delays it. It's like trying to fall asleep by commanding yourself to sleep. The harder you try, the more elusive it becomes. He called this the backwards law, the idea that the more you pursue something, the more it runs away from you. So what's the alternative? This is where Watts' teaching becomes truly transformative. He said that readiness isn't something you create. It's something you allow. You allow yourself to be shaped by experience. You allow yourself to not know. You allow yourself to be confused, uncertain, even lost. Because according to Watts, those moments of confusion, they're not obstacles to wisdom. They're the very soil in which wisdom grows. Think about your own life right now. Maybe you're feeling stuck. Maybe you're wondering when things will finally click. Maybe you're tired of waiting for clarity. But what if, and stay with me here, what if that very feeling is part of your ripening? Alan Watts said, "No valid plans for the future can be made by those who have no capacity for living now." In other words, you're not waiting for some future moment when you'll finally be ready. You're becoming ready right now, in this exact moment, through the very experience of uncertainty. And when you truly understand this, when you stop demanding that the answer arrive on your timeline, something miraculous happens. Here's what Alan Watts called the ultimate paradox. He said, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. But we don't do that, do we? Instead, we stand on the sidelines, trying to predict every step, trying to control every outcome, trying to force life to follow our carefully constructed plans. And according to Watts, that's like trying to steer a river." Here's what he discovered. Through his study of Taoism, Zen Buddhism, and his own direct experience, Watts came to understand something that Western culture desperately needs to hear: life is not a problem to be solved. It's a mystery to be experienced. Let me say that again because it's crucial. Life is not a problem to be solved. It's a mystery to be experienced. Now, your mind is probably rebelling right now. But I need to plan. I need to know what's coming. I need certainty. And that's exactly what Watts would say keeps you imprisoned. He observed that the more you clutch at certainty, the more you suffocate possibility. It's like holding sand, the tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. But here's the beautiful part. Watts said that when you finally let go, not out of defeat, but out of trust, you discover something astonishing. You discover that you were being carried all along. He described it like this: you are under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. What does that mean? It means that every moment is offering you a fresh start. Every moment is inviting you to release the story of who you think you should be and simply be who you are, right now. But this requires something most people are terrified to give. Surrender. Not surrender as in giving up. But surrender as Alan Watts understood it, the surrender of the ego's demand to control everything. And when you truly surrender in this way, when you stop fighting the current and start flowing with it, you discover something that will change how you see every single moment of your life. Alan Watts said one of the most liberating things you'll ever hear. He said, "This is the real secret of life, to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize it is play." But we can't play, can we? Because we're too busy believing we're behind. We're too busy comparing ourselves to some imaginary timeline. We're too busy thinking we should be further along. And here's what Watts discovered about this epidemic of feeling behind. It's a complete illusion. According to Watts, the very concept of being behind requires you to believe in a fixed path that everyone should follow. But he observed that nature doesn't work that way. The oak tree doesn't look at the pine tree and feel behind. The river doesn't apologize for taking the long way to the ocean. So why do you? Here's what Watts called it: the chronic anxiety of modern civilization. We've been conditioned to believe that life is a race. That there's some cosmic scoreboard keeping track of who's ahead and who's behind. That happiness is something you earn by checking off the right boxes at the right time. But Watts discovered something radically different. He said, man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. In other words, you're torturing yourself over a game that doesn't actually exist. Think about that. Every moment you spend believing you're behind is a moment you're not actually present. You're living in an imaginary future or drowning in regret about the past, and you're missing the only moment that actually exists. This one. Right now. Alan Watts observed that the seasons don't rush. Spring doesn't apologize for arriving when it does. Winter doesn't feel guilty for staying too long. They simply unfold according to a rhythm that doesn't need our approval. And you are no different. You are not behind. You cannot be behind. Because according to Watts, you are the universe experiencing itself subjectively. And the universe cannot be late. But here's what that means practically. Alan Watts noticed something fascinating about how transformation actually happens. He said, Zen does not confuse spirituality with thinking about God while one is peeling potatoes. Zen spirituality is just to peel the potatoes. Most people miss this completely. They're waiting for some dramatic moment. Some lightning bolt of enlightenment. Some clear, unmistakable sign from the universe that screams, "This is your message." But according to Watts, that's not how it works. He discovered that the most profound truths arrive as whispers, not shouts. They come in ordinary moments. In the middle of washing dishes. While sitting in traffic. In a random sentence that catches you off guard. And here's why most people miss them. They're looking for the extraordinary when truth only appears in the ordinary. Watts said it beautifully, the meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. And yet, everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. Let that land. You're so busy searching for some grand revelation that you're missing the quiet knowing that's already present. You're so focused on finding the answer that you're overlooking the thousand small answers life offers you every single day. A sudden clarity while walking. A phrase in a book that stops you cold. A feeling that rises up and says, yes, this, or no, not this. According to Watts, these aren't minor moments. These are the revelation. This is the wisdom. But it comes dressed in such simple clothing that the ego dismisses it. The ego wants fireworks. It wants complexity. It wants something it can post on social media and say, look at my spiritual awakening. But Watts discovered that real wisdom is humble. It doesn't announce itself. It simply is. He said. Trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. You cannot think your way into wisdom. You cannot force it to appear. You can only become still enough, present enough, humble enough to notice it was already here. And when you finally do notice, when you finally hear the whisper instead of waiting for the shout, everything shifts. So here's what Alan Watts would want you to understand right now, in this very moment. He said, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. And the dance is happening right now. Not tomorrow when you've figured it all out. Not next year when you've achieved your goals. Not someday when you finally feel ready. Right now. According to Watts, this moment, the one you're experiencing right now, is not preparation for something else. It is the thing itself. This is it. This is life, happening in real time. And the message you've been waiting for? It's already been delivered. It came in the restlessness that led you here. It came in the quiet knowing that something needs to shift. It came in your willingness to listen to these words instead of scrolling past. The message is this: you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not waiting for your life to start. You are life itself, unfolding exactly as you must. Alan Watts discovered that the deepest peace comes not from getting what you want, but from realizing you are already what you've been seeking. He said, you are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself. So stop treating yourself like a problem to be fixed. Stop believing you need to earn your place. Stop waiting for permission to be fully alive. The permission was granted the moment you were born. And the timing? It's always been perfect. Even now. Especially now. Because according to Alan Watts, life never gives you anything out of season. It never delivers what you're not ready for. And it never withholds what you truly need. So trust this moment. Trust the unfolding. Trust that even your confusion is part of the path. You're not late. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. And the rhythm of life is carrying you home. Thank you so much for staying with me through this exploration. If you found value in today's discussion, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might benefit from it. And if you'd like to go a step further in supporting this work, you can now leave a super thanks below. It's a small way to say thank you, and it truly helps keep this channel going.